Okay, so I didn't feel like making content today, and I'm sure there are so many other creators out there that feel the exact same and are wondering, okay, well, how can I increase my output floor so that I'm not under this rut continuously? Because they know that the more you post content, the more opportunities that you increase your luck surface area, and the more overall opportunities and top line revenue that you can produce, right? Especially if you own a product. So for me, because my business runs exactly on the amount of quantity and the quality and the value that I produce online, well, it's kind of reliant and a given that I have to create content. But hold on, because this is where it gets good. There's actually 2 points of considerations that are stopping you from creating the content and the quantity that you want, especially to get the results that you're actually aiming for. And as unscripted and candid as this is almost like a podcast style. You can listen in and actually find the one bottleneck that's holding you back from creating more content and creating a system that's actually sustainable for that content that gives you consistent ICP lead flow. So what is this magical trick? Well, it's not really a magical trick, it's a single piece of advice. And that single piece of advice is really to tell yourself that as a creator, well, we're so used to creating 10 out of 10 content. It's almost natural to us for when we start to do a new platform, especially things like, for example, YouTube, long form, the expectation that we have for ourselves is extremely, extremely high, to the point where you're basically at your top line on your first video. And that's the thing that holds you back, because you need to be taking a lot smaller bets. Try think of what your 1 out of 10 is to get that output out, because the thing is, that's how you build a content system. You can't build a content system from a point where you're constantly struggling, because otherwise you're going to be stacking up your hours rather than your leverage. But then what does that look like? It looks like this, because I've had YouTube videos before that have been complete high production masterpieces. But the thing is, not only do they not always perform, I mean, that's not really the most important. The most important thing is I'm not able to share the same amount of value that I can simply by creating this 1 out of 10 output, where it's removed the friction for me to create content so that I can share this type of value and insight to you, because there's so much that goes on in here. I deal with clients literally every single day that come up with these problems. And the thing is, if I'm not able to share that same thing in terms of my mission to serve creators and help them scale up with systems, sharpening their offer, dealing with their funnels, their pricing, it just holds us back from the mission of serving creators. There are so many opportunities to do this because I'm literally on call for like a quarter, half of my day. I usually set out like 3 days in my week, whereas I'm just booked out with calls. So for me, having these calls, there's so much value that is said in a single day that could be captured. Right? You need to look for opportunities like this. And that becomes a baseline. I want you to look at the pieces of content that you can execute on as a 1 out of 10, maybe a 2 out of 10. Maybe if you creep it up and you're consistent, you can creep it up to a 3, 4, 5 out of 10 effort, right? And the thing is, you can start to operate on that as your floor so that you can consistently put out more content, right? And then over time, as you deal with better and better content pieces, because remember, you're compounding the effects of you creating content over and over and over again, rep upon rep upon rep, because that's arguably more important, getting your face in front of the right people, right? Once you're able to do that, then you can focus in on saying, all right, let me increase the production value and the quality of my videos. Most, if not pretty much all of the largest media channels in the world have gone about starting their journey with very, very little in terms of their production value. So if you're expecting a 1 million subscriber production value when you've just started out, you're not going to win the game, right? The whole point of this is it's supposed to be partially embarrassing, right? For me, like I'm going to get videos where I literally get, 30, 40, 50 views. They might be 50 views of the right people, but then to an external perspective, it looks embarrassing, right? But you just have to remember the fact that I'm directly in front of the right people is the exact reason why I'm going to get consistent lead flow, and creators who don't do this, they won't. And it's not like I have the biggest personal brand either. My Instagram literally has 30,000 followers. My TikTok used to have 50,000. I deactivated that. And now this YouTube has 510 right now. So it's ironic because most of the lead flow that I get actually comes from YouTube. And the biggest reason why is because I'm able to provide so much value that is condensed into simple videos that aren't really there for entertainment. They are there for pure value. So if you're a content creator and you need to listen into somebody who actually understands the exact situation that you're going through, you're literally earning 3 to 5K a month-ish, enough for you to be comfortable. But the thing is, you feel like you're made for more. I'm literally there as the content creator turned business owner who has been able to go ahead, do that, and help you guide through the journey. So if I were to give you a take home, it would be twofold. The first, start at your 1 out of 10. The thing is, if you need to produce a lot of content, you need to produce a lot of content and be happy with just getting it out there. It goes back to the bare fundamentals, because you have to remember, just because you're starting on a new platform doesn't mean that your standard has to be nearly as high. You're literally entering a new space. It should be as cheap of a bet as possible, because that's what's going to give you the safety net of you being able to comfortably produce consistent output over and over and over again. And that's how you start to build a system. The second thing is to find opportunities to capture. There are so many parts of your day that you can find and turn into content, especially if you're living an interesting life, which most of the time us content creators are living interesting lives. I've already mentioned so many of my calls could be repurposed into videos. Some of the moments that I live in my day-to-day life, I don't work on Sundays, but I usually meet up with creators, and that's always a great opportunity to just film a chat. Of course, without interrupting conversation, but a big part of it is we set up a camera, we spend literally like 10 minutes just extending our chat on camera. And it's as simple as that. That's a piece of content for me every single week while I'm literally hanging out with people that I care about. It is simple. It is not complicated. I want you to solve your biggest apex problems straight away. And then from that point onwards, when you're ready for implementation, I have all the infrastructure, I have all the systems in place, we can start working together. But I want to work with A-level clients that have already gotten my help and are great. Because I'll provide this shit for free and people charge thousands of dollars for this same information, but then I can almost guarantee most people won't implement it. Let's get to work. Let's make it happen. Let's lower the barrier to entry if you struggle with it.